Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is the shocking reason the Clippers traded away Patrick Beverley. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, make sure you check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community, place you can talk about basketball, chat live during games, and so many other cool things. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to check that out. We have that linked in the comment section. And also make sure you click the join button to become a member of the channel. Anyway, let me get into this bombshell news yesterday. So yesterday I was relaxing. I was actually playing some Xbox, just chilling out. And then I saw a notification on my phone, and it said that Patrick Beverley got traded. And I was like, what? Patrick Beverley just got what? So I quickly opened up the notification and I looked at it, and I saw the details, really like a summation of what the trade was. Patrick Beverley got traded from the Los Angeles Clippers for and Rajon Rondo for Eric Bledsoe and Daniel Oturi. And I was like, what just happened? I was like, wait, why? Right? Why? And I'm sure that was the first reaction that a lot of people had, especially Clippers fans. And I remember like going through Facebook and seeing some people, with their comments like, what the hell is going on? Like, I can't believe it. They just messed it up. So I put a poll out on the channel, and I'm like, well, the Clippers right for trading away Patrick Beverley. And I think that poll has a few, 1,000 votes so far. And I think 60% of the people, last time I checked, said that they didn't like the idea of the Clippers trading away Patrick Beverley, right? They didn't like it, and I think a lot of people were blindsided, by that trade. So after going through the emotions, I sat down and I started to ask myself, because I said I'm not going to make a video about it right now. I'm sure a lot of people out there are going to do a reaction video to the trade and how it just went down. So I said, let me just sit back and ponder on this thing for a little bit. Let me mull on it and think and try to understand, why would they make this trade? Like, this was the first thing I started to ask myself. Why would you get rid of Patrick Beverley, given the fact of how well he played in the second round, given the fact that he was one of the architects of that program, helping them get this far, get to this point that they are. He's been there for a number of years. He's been through the ups and downs, and he said it. He said, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears got us to this point. That's what he said last year. And he said, it feels good to see this team at least finally make a breakthrough and make it to the Western Conference Finals, given the fact that last season I said I loved what he brought to the team, especially from an emotional standpoint. And I love what he gave them when he was on the floor, when he was playing with them. So I was surprised to see that they were, that they would get rid of him. And it actually felt wrong. I'm like, Patrick Beverley? Patrick Beverley. Some people could understand mantra as hell, but Patrick Beverley? I just couldn't put two and two together. And then I started doing a little bit of research, and I said, okay, let's see, let's try to understand what Lawrence Frank and these guys were actually thinking of before they made this trade, because they're not dumb. And I said that they put together the best roster in the NBA as far as having the deepest team, the most dynamic roster in the NBA. I feel like that's what they did. So, given the fact that I have that much confidence in their abilities to build a team, I wouldn't then just turn and say, okay, these guys don't know what the hell they're doing. I made that mistake with Tyronn Lue, right? One game, he was great. The next game, then it got to a point when I said, I'm never going to question this guy anymore. He's a great coach. Regardless of some games he gets it right, some games he gets it wrong. It's either he's good or he's bad. I don't believe you can be good and bad at the same time. So I took the same approach with Tyronn Lue, and now I know he's a good coach. And then some days some days are going to be better than others, but that's my stance on him. And then I did some background research, and I saw that the Clippers, by making this trade, by trading away Rajon Rondo and Patrick Beverley, they were able to match the salary of Eric Bledsoe, which I think allowed them to have a tax savings of $30 million over the next few years, if I'm not mistaken, off of their luxury tax bill. So from a financial standpoint, it was the astute thing to do by lowering your tax bill. That's always smart. And I'm sure that certainly was a factor. And I'm sure these guys were looking at that, crunching the numbers before they ultimately ended up pulling the trigger on that trade. So that was the first thing. And, I knew it meant, and I believe that the Clippers knew that doing something like this may have been a possibility, and I think it's something that they had to weigh when they were looking at re-signing Nicholas Batum and Reggie Jackson, because remember, those were two integral pieces to that championship puzzle, and they had to bring them back. Everybody knew that you had to bring back Reggie Jackson. There was no two questions about it. and you had to bring back Nicholas Batum, and probably ultimately this was the give that they had to that they had to give in order to get for that take. So I'm sure, excuse me, just had coffee. I'm sure that was something that the team really considered. That being said, after I looked at the financial aspect of it, my emotions, I started to calm down, and I started to see things a little bit clearly. And I said to myself, there are other reasons that they got rid of Patrick Beverley, and this is something we need to discuss. The first reason, I think, is his lack of availability. This is something we got to talk about. All through the season last season, a lot of Clippers fans lamented or flat out complained that Patrick Beverley was always injured. In fact, of the 72 games, Patrick Beverley only played 37 games, which is which basically means he virtually missed half of the season because the other remaining games are 35. That is a lot of games to miss. That's a lot of games to miss. He missed a lot of games due to injury. And also it's important to bear in mind that Patrick Beverley is 33 years old. So he's a bit of an aging point guard. He's older than, he's not a spring chicken, right? He's still good enough, but he's still, he's 33 years old. The other thing is, if we go back to the playoffs, he was essentially unplayable in round one against the Dallas Mavericks because Luka Doncic was just taking advantage of him because of his lack of size. Patrick Beverley is a 6'1" point guard. He's on the shorter spectrum of that of the scale when you're looking at point guard. Generally, I think a point guard should be between 6'1" and 6'4". In some cases, 6'5" if possible. Like what's his guy's name? Lonzo Ball. Right? In round one, Patrick Beverley was unplayable. Now in round two, he put on the show. He showed you why he made an all-first NBA defensive team and a two all-second defensive team. He showed you because he put the clamps on Devin Booker. It was sensational, and he hit some timely three-pointers, especially in that Utah series. I think in that game 6, that elimination game. But he also came up big in that second in the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken. Right, so there was that aspect, right, and I think also it was also health, because there were times he would come back, then he'd be ready, and then other times he would come back for like 1 or 2 games, and he'd get injured again. You're like, what the heck is going on here? And I don't think he was the perfect point guard for the Clippers. He wasn't the perfect point guard, which brings me to the real reason I think they got rid of him. Apart from the financial reason, apart from the health reasons. I think they traded away Patrick Beverley to open up the door for Terrence Mann. Yes. I think that ultimately the person that will benefit the most is going to be Terrence Mann. And I think that Terrence Mann ultimately will end up being the Clippers starting point guard. Let's just face it. Terrence Mann, first of all, he's much younger. Terrence Mann, how old is Terrence Mann? He's 24 years old. That's the first thing. Secondly, Terrence Mann is a stud in the making. He is a stud in the making. He can hit threes. He's a slasher. He plays with a lot of defensive intensity. He has a lot of size to him. If I look at his height, Terrence Mann is 6'5". He's a 6'5" point guard that's really a combo guard that sometimes can play the 2 and the 1. He's a 6'5" point guard that can play defense, and he's a fantastic playmaker. I said it all season long. Whenever Terrence Mann was on the floor, it seems like positive things just ended up happening for the Clippers. And I think really Terrence Mann is the perfect fit for the type of philosophy that the team has as far as their, as far as their roster, because essentially the Clippers have a bunch of two-way players, especially from 1 to 4, right? And Patrick Beverley at times was the weak link, not because of his defensive ability, just because of his size. But you can't take advantage of Terrence Mann like that, a 6'5" point guard. He can hold his own, and I think Terrence Mann is actually the perfect point guard for the Clippers. Number one, he was able to get a lot of experience these playoffs, a lot. And trust me, he's going to come into this season with a lot more confidence. That's number one. Number two, I'm sure he's going to continue to develop his offensive game, especially his three-point shooting, to be able to keep spacing on the floor, which is going to be pivotal for this team and what they want to do. But the fact that he's able to switch and also make plays, I think makes him the perfect guy. And I think ultimately, Eric Bledsoe would probably serve them better coming off the bench. I think Eric Bledsoe would serve the Clippers better by coming off the bench. He's a little bit older, but he's 6'1". So he's not like as if you got a bigger point guard, he's 2 years younger than Patrick Beverley, but he's 6'1". I think ultimately this is opening up the door for Terrence Mann, and I think that this is really the move that the Clippers are trying to make, and I think this is really what they're trying to do. And I think Terrence Mann is the guy. And if he is, I would love Terrence Mann as a starting point guard. I know, seriously, I would. I would love it, and I think he'll be a perfect fit for what the team is trying to do. Perfect fit. So these are my thoughts. I think this is the real reason that they ultimately had to let him go, because I think they had a point guard in waiting that was ready to accept the challenge in Terrence Mann. So these are my thoughts and opinions. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think? What do you think about my thoughts and my theories? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Once again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.